In the previous video, we've created a mechanism which allows us to load the items into our component, but obviously we didn't pass any data. So far, we only passed an empty array. Let's go back to the editor, and I've already created structure for the data that I want to inject into my component. It will be an array, so obviously we need to wrap it within the square brackets, and then each item is wrapped with a set of curly brackets. Items should have href, title, and body. Please remember that these items have to be wrapped with a double, not a single, double quotes, because JSON does not recognize single quotes. So if you want to make sure that everything works fine when you are using JSON file, please make sure they use double quotes. Okay, so as you can see, we have 3 items. If you would like to add them now, please pause this video, update your data.json file, and resume this video when you are ready. Okay, so now I take your data.json file contains some data that you want to inject into your component. Now, if we go back, we can close this file for now. If we go back to our index.html, and let's replace this empty array with the string. So we need to put 2 single quotes in between those 2 double quotes and specify the path to the file that we want to load, which is obviously /then data.json. If we now save it and preview our file in the browser, refresh the page, and you can see now we can see the feed. We cannot see any items, but we can see the feed. If we click on a horizontal feed under the view console, you can see that our items property now contains 3 items, each one with body, href, and title. So now we've loaded data successfully to our component. If we go back to the editor, what do we need to do in order to show the first item? At the moment, none of these items is actually within this body container, and this is because we haven't added it yet. We only have this paragraph placeholder. So what we need to do is to loop through this items property. If we scroll down, you can see we have this items property here. We need to loop through all these items, and then all these items will be added to the body. So how are we going to do it? We're going to use v-for directive, and here I'm going to use a bracket. I'm going to say that I want item and its index, so item comma index, in items property. So the next thing we need to do is for this a tag, we are going to convert this href attribute to a dynamic attribute by using the colon in front of it, and we are going to replace its value with item.href, which is corresponding to, if we open our data.json, to the href index. Then for the title, the same thing. We are going to, rather than having this title directly in between the opening and closing a tag, what we are going to do is use another directive called v-text, and this is where we're going to specify what should be placed within the opening and closing anchor tag. And here we're going to use item.title, and again that's corresponding to the, if I open data.json, to the title index for the given item. And then we also have body. So if we now go back to our horizontal feed, the last thing that we need is for this span tag to contain the body of this item. And again, we are going to use v-text directive and use item body. Now, if we want to preview everything in browser, we should have all 3 items within this body container, obviously wrapped with this div. So if we open our terminal and run npm run dev, if we wait for everything to compile, and there we go. If we go back to the browser, if we navigate to the elements, you can see that now body has this div with 3 tags inside of it. If I just expand it, you'll see that they contain exactly what we've put in our data.json file. So all these items are now displayed within the structure of our page. Now, as you can still see, we can't see any item being displayed within this container for our items, this body container. This is because none of these items has active class associated with it. Let's go back to our editor and fix this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to close this index.html file. The one thing that I want to add to our paragraph is the class binding. You can again use this either with the colon at the beginning or use v bind and then class, obviously doing this way, but that's the shortcut and I intend to use it this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add active class, and we are going to pass index of the given item through as an argument to this method. So index, and now if we scroll down to our method section right after the swap, I'm going to create a new method called active class, which will take this index through as an argument. And now I'm going to return an object, and if we scroll down quickly, object which will contain name of the class that I want to associate with the given element that calls this active class method, and the name of the class will be active. And this class active will only be returned from within this method when our index matches, so triple equal symbol, internal property, this current. We don't have this property yet, so let's quickly add it to our data. After show, we're going to set current, and current by default will be associated with 0, which means first item in our collection. So if we now save it, and if we go to the terminal, compile everything, and if we preview everything in a browser again, let's refresh the page, and you can see the first item is now showing within the body of our feed. And if you have a look at the structure of our feed, now you can see this first paragraph has this active class associated with it. So that's it in this video. In the next video, we're going to tackle the swap method, which is responsible for covering the content, replacing the item, and sliding the cover back to the right, revealing the next item in the collection.